Hi, my name is Greg Parry. I'm an Australian who works overseas, setting up and operating international schools in different parts of the world. One of the most fascinating projects we ever worked on was a new school project in Palestine. And of course, I'd never been there. It's a unique and interesting place. And the project was being launched by the family or the father of a student that I had worked with in our school in Dubai. And at the time, my wife Shannon and I were working in Beijing, and he flew us from Beijing to Jordan, where we were then going to travel across the land border from Jordan into Palestine. And of course, we knew him and we knew his son, and the plan was to meet his son at the hotel in Jordan with some other people. Then we were going to travel across the border to Palestine, to Ramallah. At this stage of the project, not a lot had been done. It was a brand new school that we were planning to create, but we were going to a special event where we were going to meet the governor of Ramallah, the prime minister of Palestine, and other dignitaries to commence the project at the construction site in a very symbolic kind of ceremony. So we landed at the hotel and we went to bed that night. And the next morning at breakfast, we met up with the son of the investor, and it was great to catch up with him. And then we met two other journalists that also were traveling to the project. One of them was from the UK, and one of them was, I believe, from Switzerland. And of course, we had only met these journalists for the first time, and we would then travel together by land through the border. Now, the son, he reminded us that, of course, he was Palestinian, so he would have to go through a slightly different checkpoint to us. I mean, he might take longer because of the challenges of checkpoints going into Palestine. And we said that's okay, no problem at all. Now, remember, I'm Australian, Shanna is American. The two journalists are from the UK and I think Switzerland. So we head off into the border check. And of course, we got stuck for several hours. But what was fascinating was the questions that we were asked. They said, well, where are you going? We said, we're going to Ramallah, to Palestine. What are you going there for? Well, we're going to set up a new school. What's the name of the school? We don't know. We haven't named the school yet. What hotel are you staying in? Um, I don't know. We're meeting someone there and they're going to take us to the hotel. When did you first meet? We met at breakfast this morning in our hotel in Jordan. Okay. Then they of course turned to the other two. So you're journalists. Why are you here as journalists? Why? How come you're here? And why are you involved? And of course, they had their own stories to tell. They of course went through everybody's social media to screen everything, and it's a fascinating, fun story that went on for hours and hours. And to be honest, we weren't stressed in any way. At no time were we fearful of our safety, but we understood the humorous situation. It sounded absolutely ridiculous that this Australian, American, British and Swiss person and a person from Palestine all met over breakfast and then was suddenly going into Ramallah to create a school that hadn't even been named, existed, didn't know what hotel we were going to, didn't even have the phone number of the owner. It was just crazy. So we understand why we were a difficult catch. We understood why we were there for several hours, but eventually we got through. And of course, we've got that story to tell. But thankfully, we stayed calm. Everything was fine. But it was a fascinating story that we can tell about border crossings in and out of Palestine. So, yeah, a fascinating, fun time.